855-581-6858 today. Spectrum Business, made to work.
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
I'm Sharon Tazwell. Here's your Spectrum News in 90. Kamala Harris and running mate Tim Walz kicked off a bus tour in the critical campaign state of Georgia Wednesday. It's all part of a post-Democratic National Convention swing. GOP vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance is speaking about the economy in the key states of Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, both campaigns focusing on independent voters.
I'm not undecided. I've already decided that there is not one person I'd vote for.
I don't seem like I reap any benefits for voting for someone that's not helping me.
The FBI released new photos of the gun used to shoot Donald Trump during a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania last month. The photos also include a look at the gunman's backpack and explosives the shooter had in his car. Investigators say the 20-year-old suspect repeatedly looked up information about both Donald Trump and President Biden and saw the rally as a target of opportunity. The Supreme Court Wednesday denied a Biden administration plea seeking to revive the latest plan to tackle federal student loan debt. The court denied an emergency request filed by the administration seeking to lift a nationwide pause imposed by an appeals court. There were no noted dissents. The plan aims to provide a faster path to loan cancellation. Those are your headlines now. Here's a look at your weather on the ones.
Good Wednesday evening, everybody. I'm meteorologist Ramel Carpenter. It was a hot start to the week, and we have more big heat and potential record-breaking temperatures in store for us for the 3rd day in a row. Highs are going to be in the middle and upper 90s across the Tennessee Valley and parts of the southeast, staying unsettled through Florida into the Gulf Coast. Highs are going to be in the upper 80s, low 90s. And across the northern plains, we have another risk for some strong to severe thunderstorms, level 2 slight risk. I'll talk about the timing and the potential impacts we could see coming up in 10 minutes on your weather on the ones.
The 2024 race for the White House front and center as both campaigns put the focus on battleground states. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sharon Tazwell. Vice President Kamala Harris and running mates Minnesota Governor Tim Walz kicked off a 2-day bus tour in Georgia Wednesday. The Democratic ticket will meet with supporters, campaign staff, small business owners, and voters in a state likely to have a major impact on the November election. And Donald Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, is also holding campaign events in key swing states. The Ohio senator delivered remarks on the economy in Pennsylvania before heading to Wisconsin. We have team coverage breaking it all down. Spectrum's Cassie Simeon is in Savannah, Georgia, while our national political reporter, Taylor Papa-Lars, is in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Cassie, let's start with you. The vice president making it clear her campaign considers Georgia a key election state come November.
Yeah, one expert I spoke with said there's nothing more important than a candidate's time, and the fact that she is spending so much time on the ground here in the Peach State really solidifies that this is going to be a key state for the Harris campaign moving forward. Vice President Kamala Harris arrived in Georgia Wednesday, her 7th trip to the state this year. The itinerary this visit, a bus tour through rural South Georgia with her running mate Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, before a rally Thursday in Savannah. The focus on rural voters, an acknowledgement that Harris needs more than big blue cities of Atlanta and Savannah and their suburbs to win the state.
Most of the rest of South Georgia is very red, so she's not going to win those counties. But if she simply reduces Trump's margins there, that could be critical. Because remember, 4 years ago, the state was decided by fewer than 12,000 votes.
Black voters and young voters are expected to back Harris here. White college-educated voters are another target, one that Harris will focus on in Savannah on Thursday.
The Harris ticket can get about 40% of that white college-educated vote. that would probably be sufficient to win Georgia.
Voters in Savannah say they have sensed a change since Harris replaced President Joe Biden as the party's nominee.
There's been a very big shift, especially like my friends in Atlanta going to college and things like that. They're more vocal and they're more like, hey guys, let's get out and vote.
Gerald Chambers, who owns a bed and breakfast in Savannah, says he thinks Georgia could go blue for Harris.
I think she's actually more competitive than you think. Women's health, reproductive health is a big issue for anybody in any party, whether you're Republican, Independent like myself, or Democratic.
One woman who says she voted for former President Donald Trump in 2020 says she's giving Harris a close look this year.
Having Kamala as a nominee, I've been trying to do my research a lot more, trying to figure out, what do I want for my kids and things like that, and trying to accept everybody, which Kamala very much so does.
So, Cassie, what can we expect to see from both Kamala Harris and Tim Walz moving forward this week?
Well, the first big thing is going to be their joint interview with CNN. That is set to air on Thursday night in prime time. From there, of course, Harris will have her rally here in Savannah, Georgia, Thursday afternoon. And the rest of the campaign is headed off to different directions to swing states. We're going to see Governor Walz and Gwen Walz in Wisconsin over the Labor Day holiday. We're also going to see the vice president appear with the president for the first time up in Pennsylvania. So really hitting those battleground states over the next several days, Sharon, making a big push as we head into the home stretch of this election cycle.
Yeah, big schedule ahead. Cassie Simeon in Savannah, Georgia. Thanks. As Trump and Harris step up their campaigns heading into Labor Day weekend, both candidates are focusing their efforts on independent voters. Spectrum's Taylor Popolars continues our Decision 2024 coverage from the battleground state of Michigan. Taylor, Michigan is once again likely to play a key role in the November election. You have spent the last couple days talking to voters there, including independents. What are you hearing?
You know, Sharon, some really interesting conversations, because we're not just talking with voters at political campaign events. One of my favorite things to do on the road is to literally just kind of walk the streets and stop people at random if they're out with a pet or walking with family and pick their brains. And funny enough, here in Grand Rapids, I found a good mix of people who say they are undecided or they are frustrated with their choices this November. Here's a quick sampling.
I'm torn in between. I honestly am.
I don't use a vote because I don't think it really pertains to me.
I'm not undecided. I've already decided that there is not one person I'd vote for.
It's a joke. There's nobody really worth voting for.
And so that's just a sampling of who I was able to find here in downtown Grand Rapids. But I think it's a reminder that while there are very many people who are decidedly voting for Vice President Kamala Harris or decidedly supporting former President Donald Trump in November, there's a whole bunch of people who are still trying to figure it out and who are frustrated with their options. So it's a reminder that in these key battleground states like here in Michigan that came down to under 3%, that's how much Trump lost by in 2020. And in 2016, he won by just about 11,000 votes. That every vote truly matters, and if somebody is undecided until the last minute, it's hard for these campaigns to figure out who to go after and how to build up their base of support.
Yeah, hearing from people on the streets, there definitely seems like a lot of frustration. So, Taylor, what are both Trump and Harris doing to try and win the battleground state of Michigan?
So very different but interesting strategies. The Trump team is really going after black voters and union members because they're basically trying to rebuild what used to be the Democratic Party's base and saying we can now resonate with them. For Harris and the Democrats, they're trying to energize younger voters who were upset with Biden's age but are much more passionate about her. They also want to reach out to suburban women who used to be a Republican stronghold but are now leaning more toward the Democrats, especially because of abortion. So both campaigns are investing heavily in the state. Trump and J.D. Vance are visiting here this week. That's why we're here, and we'll be covering it every step of the way.
All right, Taylor Popolars from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Thanks. Controversy in Arlington while the Trump campaign is in hot water after visiting the National Cemetery in honor of fallen service members. Just ahead on Spectrum News.
Spectrum News Plus. News from a new perspective, dedicated to refreshing storytelling and empowering communities across the nation. With balanced reporting, providing real context and in-depth coverage 24 hours a day.
Here's a look at your forecast across the country.
Local stories, connecting communities. We are Spectrum News Plus. Streaming now on the Spectrum News app and free with your Spectrum subscription.
At Spectrum, we know that internet is a vital tool to help you fulfill your dreams.
My dream is to become a video game developer.
My dream is to get my online college degree. That's why Spectrum has affordable solutions to keep you connected. At Spectrum, we are committed to delivering reliable, affordable internet and unlimited mobile to keep you connected to what matters most to you.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. 2 milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is, fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kitchen now.
You're not gonna get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm meteorologist Ramel Carpenter. Certainly has been very unsettled across the northern plains over the last couple of days. Damaging wind reports, some hail as big as 4 inches across Nebraska earlier in the week. We've got some similar concerns in store for us across the northern plains heading into Thursday afternoon. Across Minnesota, parts of Wisconsin and Iowa, another storm system looks to progress into the Great Lakes region. And down towards Virginia and North Carolina, we're going to keep an isolated risk for some strong to severe thunderstorms, packing a punch with some damaging winds, but not a big concern across the Carolinas and Virginia. So here we are. As we get into Thursday morning, we're going to see some scattered showers pushing through the Ohio Valley. Nothing severe at that moment in time, but once we get into Thursday evening, that's when we're going to see a line of thunderstorms developing. And this will contain some lightning and thunder associated with this as well, stretching from Minnesota all the way down to portions of Kansas heading into tomorrow evening. So definitely make sure you've got severe weather alert, ways to receive severe weather alerts with the Spectrum News app. That is a free app you can download as well. And over towards Virginia, we're going to be seeing our fair share of downpours, which could lead to some localized flooding, especially with how dry it's been across West Virginia and Virginia as well. The showers and storms should start to fizzle out as this line continues to progress to the east as we get towards Friday morning. And this front right here is going to bring us some positive changes as we get into this upcoming weekend. So as far as rainfall totals go, it's mainly going to be focused, believe it or not, along the Gulf Coast, where we had multiple rounds of tropical downpours pushing through southern Louisiana, up towards the Gulf Coast of Florida, and down towards South and Central Florida, where we're going to stay in the upper 80s, low 90s. Starting to dry out just a bit, though, as we head into the western half of the United States. And looking ahead into the 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook, we're expecting drier than average conditions to take shape across the northern plains, through the Great Lakes up into the northeast. So we are going to get a break from this unsettled weather pattern. And unfortunately, going to stick with that weather pattern along the Gulf Coast and down towards South and Central Florida. But the big talking point in the weather community is the heat. We're talking about some more record-breaking temperatures coming up in 10 minutes on your Weather on the Ones.
Donald Trump facing new controversy after a visit to Arlington National Cemetery. The former president made an appearance with the families of some fallen service members. But it's an incident between Trump's team and a cemetery official making headlines. Spectrum's Ariel Wessler breaks it all down for us.
In this photo posted on X by Utah Governor Spencer Cox, former President Donald Trump smiles and flashes a thumbs up along with family members of fallen soldiers.
There is no more hallowed ground in this nation than Arlington Cemetery, where we've been burying our heroes, our veterans since the Civil War.
Trump was visiting the cemetery to honor the 13 U.S. service members killed during the Kabul airport attack 3 years ago. A cemetery official reportedly physically blocked Trump's team from accompanying him into Section 60, where veterans of post-9/11 conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan are buried. Trump's campaign spokesperson, Stephen Chung, says the team had been granted access to have a private photographer there when they were blocked, but he says there was no physical altercation. Federal law prohibits political campaign or election-related activities within Army National Military cemeteries. Arlington saying it, quote, reinforced and widely shared this law and its prohibitions with all participants.
No person or party, either side, should ever use Arlington National Cemetery or any of our cemeteries or battlefields for partisan political purposes.
Family members of the fallen soldiers defending the Trump team's actions, saying, quote, we had given our approval for President Trump's official videographer and photographer to attend the event, ensuring these sacred moments of remembrance were respectfully captured, and so we can cherish these memories forever.
He wanted to get his video and pictures. People that worked there at Arlington did the right thing, which is to try to stop it from happening, because this is disrespecting the memory of those that have fallen.
Adam Kinzinger is a U.S. veteran and former Republican congressman.
If you think that, we should be having every campaign now stopping, and every congressional campaign and every Senate campaign going and doing campaign rallies, in essence, at Arlington National Cemetery, that's fine. I don't think the vast majority of Americans agree with you.
The incident is the latest in a string of controversies involving Trump and veterans. A spokesperson for the Kamala Harris campaign calls the incident, quote, pretty sad. Trump's running mate J.D. Vance had a more fiery response, saying the Harris camp shouldn't yell at Donald Trump because he, quote, showed up. She can go to hell. Ariel Wessler, Spectrum News.
We're learning new details about the gunman behind an attempted assassination on Donald Trump more than a month ago. Federal authorities say the gunman searched online for both Trump and President Biden events leading up to the shooting. Investigators say the 20-year-old conducted extensive attack planning, which included repeated searches about explosives. The FBI Wednesday also released new photos of the gun used in the attack, as well as explosives found in the car belonging to the shooter. Authorities have conducted nearly 1,000 interviews, but do not have a motive for the attack. A federal appeals court revived Sarah Palin's defamation lawsuit against the New York Times Wednesday. The court says a judge that presided over the libel case made a series of errors when he dismissed the trial while the jury was still deliberating back in 2022. The former governor of Alaska filed the suit in 2017, alleging the newspaper defamed her in an editorial and incorrectly suggested an ad from her political action committee inspired a shooting in Arizona in 2011. No reports yet on when a new trial will start. The Supreme Court is denying the Biden administration's attempt to revive its latest plan to tackle student loan debt. In a decision with no noted dissents, the High Court kept an injunction on the SAVE plan, which was introduced by the Department of Education. The plan will put caps on how much interest can accrue, aiming to make payoffs easier. Challengers to the plan say it would require up to $475 billion of spending not authorized by Congress. Last year, the Supreme Court rejected an earlier plan, which would have wiped away billions of debt. Hamas says 10 militants have been killed after Israel launched a major military operation Wednesday in the occupied West Bank. The Israeli military says multiple arrests were also made in a militant stronghold. 4 Palestinians were killed by Israeli fire, according to Palestinian officials. The raid is among the largest operations in the West Bank in months. Meanwhile, a new government watchdog report finds President Biden authorized the delivery of humanitarian aid to Gaza through a floating military pier, despite warnings from U.S. officials. Officials from the U.S. Agency for International Development warned the effort would face weather challenges in the Mediterranean Sea and security problems in an active war zone. College football is back. Coming up on Spectrum News, it changes players and fans can expect to see on the field this season.
Here's the deal. In this election year, people need a place to explore national issues that have an impact on their community. To understand those issues better, We're bringing together our team of local political journalists from across the country to break down what's happening. So join us every week to catch up on the key stories making a big difference across the nation and in your local community.
Watch The Big Deal with Errol Lewis Friday nights at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on Spectrum News Plus. Available on all of your favorite devices exclusively on Spectrum.
Give me one good reason why I shouldn't switch to Spectrum Enterprise.
Well, you said our services meet some of your technology needs.
But not all.
Well, maybe you have too many.
Demand better. And when they call you unreasonable, call us.
Look, I'm switching to Spectrum Enterprise because they'll be a true partner, and I can't run this network without one.
I think you can.
Our clients do it all the time.
Demand better. And when they call you unreasonable, call us.
I tell my son, I love you every single day.
I love you.
Now, my dad has never said that to me. Not because he doesn't love me, but because culturally it wasn't comfortable for him. Now that he's a grandfather, he says, I love you to my son every time he sees him. My advice to all the fathers out there, forget the cultural restrictions. They grow up way too fast for you to waste even a single precious moment.
Food isn't just fuel to live, it's fuel to grow. My family relied on public assistance to help provide meals for us. These meals fueled my involvement in theater and the arts as a child, which fostered my love for acting. The Feeding America network of food banks helps millions of people put food on the table. When people are fed, futures are nourished. Join the movement to end hunger, and together we can open endless possibilities for people to thrive. Visit feedingamerica.org/actnow.
Good Wednesday evening, everybody. I'm meteorologist Ramel Carpenter. Certainly has been a hot week so far across the lower 48, and we have another hot day in store for us as we get into the day on Thursday. Here's a look at the heat risk potential as we get going into Thursday afternoon and evening, primarily across Kentucky, parts of the Tennessee Valley. Southern Illinois has been flat out hot over the last couple of days with record-breaking temperatures earlier in the week, and parts of the Virginias and Carolinas under that major heat risk throughout the day today, as temperatures are going to be well above the average and heat index values well into the triple digits. So for tomorrow afternoon, we're going to see those temperatures in the low 90s from Indianapolis into Columbus, 102 in Nashville, which could tie a record high for that location, upper 90s to near 100 in the Raleigh area, and down towards Atlanta, still staying pretty toasty heading into Thursday. By the time we get towards Friday, we're going to see some cooler temperatures starting to take shape across the Great Lakes region and especially across the Northeast as another frontal system begins to work its way into this area. Still staying pretty toasty though, and I think we'll start to see some slight relief from this heat and humidity once we get into this upcoming weekend. So your 3-day forecast across the Bluegrass State staying hot tomorrow and Friday across the Louisville area. Upper 90s, feeling like the triple digits, but we cool down as we get into the weekend with that front diving into our area just in time for the holiday weekend. We'll fall to the low 80s, and it does look like this weather pattern is going to hold steady as we get into the first full week of September. A nice taste of fall in store for us. Confidence is increasing on the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. Below normal temperatures expected from the Northeast into the Midwest. Of course, staying pretty toasty again along the Gulf Coast and down towards Florida, and an upper level ridge looks likely to take shape across the western half of the United States. So they're enjoying comfortable conditions for the time being, but we are going to heat up big time heading into next week. So there is relief right around the corner. And as for the tropics, we're still going to continue to monitor a couple of systems across the Atlantic basin. The small system in the central Atlantic is going to battle a lot of wind shear. Not really concerned with this one, has a low chance for tropical development over the next 48 hours, as does the system in the main development region, but it is going to be moving into a favorable environment. We could see some slow tropical development with this system as we head into this upcoming weekend. Something to watch as we get into the next several days. We're getting close to that peak of hurricane season, and if this does develop, it will get the name Francine, our 6-name system of the hurricane season so far. Not many names, but the activity is certainly going to be picking up as we get into the next several weeks, as we reach the peak of hurricane season next month, and then eventually falling down until the end of November when hurricane season comes to a close.
If you're just joining us, here's what you need to know. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz kick off a bus tour in the battleground state of Georgia Wednesday. The pair is meeting with small business owners and targeting rural voters ahead of a rally in Savannah Thursday. Republican Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance holding campaign rallies in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin Wednesday. Vance spoke with supporters about the U.S. economy. And the FBI releases new photos of the gun used in the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Investigators say the 20-year-old shooter conducted extensive attack planning, including looking up information about explosives. And that's what you need to know this evening. Comedian Nikki Glaser has been chosen to host the 82nd Golden Globe Awards. Glaser follows a long list of comedians to host the award show, honoring the best in film and TV. She's well known for her comedy specials and hosting a podcast and reality TV show. She also appeared on the Roast of Tom Brady special, which aired on Netflix earlier this year. The Golden Globes will air live on January 5th. It's time to get out your gear and cheer on your favorite team. College football returns this week, but amidst the excitement for the new season, some big changes are shaking up the landscape. Spectrum News anchor Marilee Melendez explains in this week's Beyond the Sport.
Feels good to say this. College football is officially back. While the rivalries and rankings may take the spotlight, there are some major changes this season that could have you doing a double take. Several major conferences expanded. The Big Ten added 4 teams. The SEC added 2, with Oregon, Washington, USC, and UCLA leaving the Pac-12 and playing in the Big Ten this season. The Big Ten being a Midwestern conference for its entire existence, dating back to the early 1900s. Well, now it boasts 4 teams from the West Coast and has 18 teams total. And for the SEC, it picked up Texas and Oklahoma, 2 powerhouse teams that have been in the Big 12 for the last 20 to 25 years. I talked to longtime college sports writer Steve Hellwagen from 24/7 Sports. He says there's a big reason these conferences made such a significant move.
What we're looking at are probably, as this thing continues to evolve, 2 mega conferences with the SEC and the Big Ten that want to corner the market on getting into the college football playoff and winning the national championship. And with their enormous television contracts that each of those leagues has, they'll be able potentially to pay college athletes perhaps a little bit more than some of the other conferences like the ACC and the Big 12.
As Steve mentioned, the college football playoff, well, it's expanding this season as well. Big time. The playoff is going from 4 teams to 12, so get ready for a longer season. There will be 4 rounds of playoff games from the beginning of December to the middle of January, meaning some teams can play up to 17 games if they make it to the national championship. Now, to put that into perspective, a regular season is about 11 to 12 games. Not all teams will play straight through, though. All teams that win one of the major conference championships will have a bye to the quarterfinals at the end of December. And the 4 first-round games will all be played on campus sites, meaning more games for fans to attend. For Spectrum News, I'm Marilee Melendez.
I'm Sharon Tazwell. Thanks for watching. Your Spectrum News in 90 is coming up right after this short break. Stay with us.
At Spectrum News, we're committed to strengthening the fabric of local communities through our reporting, with stories that inspire and news that matters. Streaming live on your smart TV and connected devices, plus on-demand weather forecasts. It's all there as you step outside with the Spectrum News mobile app, keeping you informed and in the know throughout your day. Spectrum News Plus, local stories connecting communities. Exclusively for Spectrum customers. Now available on your favorite devices.
At Spectrum, our workforce of over 100,000 employees are all located right here in the U.S. You can find them in our stores, in the field, and in our call centers with 100% U.S.-based customer service. Our team works hard to provide the towns, cities, and neighborhoods they live in with the reliable services that everyone counts on, making us one of America's most trusted companies. We're Spectrum, creating jobs and opportunities across the country and proud to be 100% U.S. based.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/team up.
Sometimes in life, in order to move forward, it helps to look back.
To learn from the pioneers and trailblazers.
To gain inspiration from those who came before us.
To show us what it means to act with empathy and to show that love has no labels.
Join WWE and Love Has No Labels throughout the year in celebrating people from all communities and heritages.
Because when love has no labels,
that's a love we can all fight for.